Hello once again, everyone. Original Blood Ace here. Interesting story to talk about. More evidence, possibly, of Sony's ultimate disappearance, ultimate fading away, ultimate leaving the gaming industry, or even maybe everyone but Nintendo. Sony Gaikai may deliver PlayStation content to other devices. So, I'll read you what it says here. I'm not going to pronounce his name because I can't pronounce it. Well, I guess I could try. Shuhei Yoshida, whatever. President of Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide Studios sees that Gaikai streaming services as the key to his goal of transforming PlayStation from a hardware platform to something closer to a service. Meaning, PlayStation could no longer be a system. It could just be simply, the PlayStation Store, whatever you call it. Sony acquired Gaikai back in June of 2012 from former Shiny Entertainment head and Gaikai founder David Perry. It's long been known that Sony hopes to use Gaikai's technology to stream PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games to the PS4, in lieu of the hardware-based backwards compatibility. But now it seems that Sony wants Gaikai to spread PlayStation software to non-PlayStation and potentially non-Sony devices. His exact quote is here: "Speaking of the ultimate goal, we would like to deliver PlayStation games to all devices," Yoshida stated in an interview with Dengeki Online. It's translated by DualShockers. "So we're considering various things like putting stuff on PC, TVs, Blu-rays, players, smartphones, and tablets." Now let's pause here for a second. This means God of War, Uncharted, Spyro, well, not really Crash or Spyro anymore, stuff, all Sony exclusives and stuff, playing it on smartphones, playing it on tablets, playing it on PC, playing Sony games on a Microsoft PC. Huh. Well. Interesting. "We hope to continue to expand not only to Sony devices, but even to devices other than Sony's," he said. Yoshida's ultimate goal is to create a web of devices capable of streaming PlayStation content, with Sony's latest console serving as a hub for this activity. "We previously spoke about PlayStation going from hardware to something closer to a service. Regardless of the device, of course, PlayStation will still be the center, but I think we would like to expand to different things," Yoshida said. So, could this be the first chink in the armor of the gaming industry? Could this be the first step in the downfall of gaming, of having no more consoles? Could this mean that all three companies will just make one system, one console that everything plays on? No. Nintendo is not affected by this. Nintendo will continue to beat to their own drum, do their own thing, and ignore and not follow what the other guys do. What this means is, as I said before in other videos with Sony's, they could be gone in a year or two or whatever. This is just a further proof, further evidence in this, I don't even know what to call it, the idea of Sony disappearing. But this mostly affects Microsoft and Sony, really. Microsoft started this whole other devices thing with their games. Think of it's really small for now, but Halo Spartan Assault. That was a freaking iPad Halo game. So, and I think I've said this before, but Microsoft and Sony, I do see them eventually leaving the gaming industry. I don't see them lasting past this generation, maybe not even halfway through this generation. Now, as I've said before, Microsoft, they have had, like, they have plenty of money. They're not going to go bankrupt or anything. But I just think the Xbox One will fail ultimately and not reach their sales goals. So basically, they will back out. They never needed to enter the gaming industry. I think they've got as much money as they can from it, from the 360 and even the original Xbox. But I think they're going to back out. They'll stick with their PCs. And think about this. If Sony does do this and put their games on PCs and stuff, that's more money for Microsoft right there. They don't even need to do anything, and Sony would be giving them a part of their money. Now, Sony, on the other side, this is pretty big news. Because if they just have this service, basically, no more PlayStation hardware, no PS5, or whatever they would try to make after the Vita disaster. I doubt they'd even want to touch the handheld anymore since they've killed themselves in there. But think of it this way. If all there is of PlayStation, if all you can find about when you want to buy a PlayStation game is a service that you would be on PC or your smartphone, where you'd have, basically, think of like Steam. It'd be a store where everything is digital. no physical copies of games. You'd have to buy every game that you'd want that's a PlayStation game digitally. Now, most of us like physical copies. Too bad, so sad. Sony does this, guess what? You're not getting any physical copies anymore. It's just that simple. But I can't even put into words how interesting this story is. Like, on one side, it could be good. It would save Sony money in the sense of having to develop hardware. But then in the same sense, all the PlayStation drones who complain about specs and hardware would no longer be able to do that, and they would have to suck it up and play games on other systems where they can't be all bragging about power and graphics and all that crap. Of course, if it's on PC, then they could still brag about that, but then they'd be bragging about a competitor system, which is Microsoft, which fucking hypocrites. Anyway, that really is all I can say about this video. All I can say is this affects Sony the most, then Microsoft, but it doesn't affect Nintendo. If you are worried about, oh, gaming is coming to an end, the whole philosophy that eventually gaming would end, eventually, yes, that will happen in the sense that, you know, gaming as it is currently will no longer be the norm. That is eventually a fact. That will eventually happen. There will not be 3 competitors in the gaming industry. When will that be? Is it now? No, not quite. But I say halfway through this generation to the starting of the next gen, when Nintendo does their next home console, it's going to start happening. Sony or Microsoft, one of them will leave. Could be Sony with their financial situation and this whole decision to go more on other systems with all their games and everything. Or it could be Microsoft just because the Xbox One won't do as well as they wanted it to. Anyway, this, as always, is Original Blood Ace. Stay tuned. More videos coming soon, as always.